Well. It's Saturday, November 9th. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Bob Harris. It's time for the weekly Ask Me Anything live stream here at the Football Guys Audible channel. Before we get all of that and I get to your questions, and I see they are coming in. It's good to see everybody. Thank you all for coming. Footballguys.com. That's the website that you should all visit. Tons of work there. I appreciate you coming here every Saturday and also every Tuesday for my on the hot seat live stream. I had football rotoballers Jamie Calandro on this week, my good friend. It was fantastic. There was a lot going on Tuesday. I'm not sure everyone saw it, so you can catch a replay of that. Still some good information in there pertinent to this week's game. And I'll have another great guest this coming Tuesday. Also, tons of stuff available to you at Football Guys. And of course, look, Colonel Sarcasm knows drill. Press the like button. You don't have to like me if you don't want, but hit the subscribe, the notification bell. I'm sure most of you already do. Appreciate y'all for doing that. And appreciate y'all showing up and giving me a little time as we talk through some situations. I'll get to as many questions as I can. Plenty of helpful people in the chat who will be answering, and discussion back and forth is highly encouraged. Also, make sure you catch all the other good content here on the Football Guys YouTube channel, Sigmund and Cease. Mostly Sigmund this week, but bringing you all the usual stuff. And also the fantasy football channel, Dave Kluge and Alfredo, the Dynasty channel with Jagger and Jeff Bell. And of course, plenty of Joey Wright flitting about, and everybody else. The Sunday show is great. So tons going on. If you don't know me, I am Bob Harris. You can find my fantasy notebook every Thursday on the site. Is completely free. You can read it there. Also, you can check out today. My In and Out column is out Fridays. My Polarizing Players collaboration with Gary. In and Out, I love doing that. It's kind of a, you're trying to be a little edgy. Not everyone can have all the chalk plays every week, so I try to avoid the chalk plays and give you some, some interesting plays and some interesting people that maybe I'm talking about sitting that maybe you don't want to sit, but sometimes the matchups aren't great. So we'll look for some breaking news here today. I hope Scamper shows up to take care of the Schefter role. I love it when I love it when that happens. Always a lot of information comes out on Saturday. So I'm going to run through some injuries real quick before I get to the questions, and I do see them coming in, so we'll get them. Did we down strategy? Boy, yes. Dude, Drake May has been running like crazy. Someone out there, Royal Slade is going, that's right. But yeah, I feel it at the moment. Feel it. So quarterback news. I'll start out with quarterback news. The big news at quarterback, Dak Prescott is going on IR. I don't know that he'll. Schefter's in the house. Hey Rachel, good morning. Well, Holly is sitting around. I'll get to the question here in a minute for you. Yeah, so Dak Prescott seems likely he'll miss the rest of the season. This part of the hamstring is torn completely off the bone. They're trying to figure out what the treatment is. Took him a little while to get him on IR. Cooper Rush will get the start there. There are some other injury issues. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is going to miss time, but we'll talk about that here through the course of the program. But definitely, Cooper Rush is has a 5-1 record as the starter. The 2022 season, he was great, but it was a different Cowboys team, right? They had a defense. They don't have as much defense now. Trevor Lawrence for the Jacksonville Jaguars at Minnesota. I know I saw some questions in there about Brian Thomas Jr. being a good pivot from some other players with tough matchups. We will discuss that as well. But yes, I have a hunch. Of course, my Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio co-host Mike Dempsey covers that team on a daily basis. He seems to think it's heading in this way too. I mean, there's a lot of people who believe that Trevor Lawrence is not going to play. I don't know. There's been some talk of surgery. Sounds like maybe something they're going to hold out on and wait. So it will be Mac Jones, the former Patriot, as the starter, if that's the case, if Trevor Lawrence can't go. And so the funny thing about the Minnesota defense, Brian Flores brings the heat, right? And he causes all kinds of trouble for quarterbacks, but they have nothing for opposing wide receivers, super generous to the wideouts. So it is kind of like a conundrum. And I'm sure there'll be questions on that, and we will discuss over the course of time. Other quarterback news, Will Levis back into the starting lineup this week. It's not been great, right? So we'll see. Hardly recommend a starter there. Also, what if he might be able to? Totally true. So, and I think the good thing about him is he comes in with experience, right? I mean, there's something to be said for a player who, a backup with starting experience, and he has that. So yeah, I'm not like totally dismissive of it, but also it's not ideal. It's Royal Slade knows, not ideal. So there you go. So, and also, I know there was some concern about Baker Mayfield earlier in this week. He's off the injury report. Should be perfectly fine. Got a toe injury. He's a tough man. What are we doing in that San Francisco matchup, though? It's a tough matchup. He has no receivers, and he still just keeps getting the job done. I don't know how. Is it mirrors and tricks and all kinds of stuff? I mean, and he has a little rushing equity. At least they've got him, especially in scoring positions. So there's that. I don't believe Doug Peterson. So I think they are all in on. I think they are. I don't know if they're all in on Doug Peterson. That's the bigger question. There's issues with the upper executives, like the fans hate Trent Baalke, seems like, and there are some rumors out there about people who might be interested in that job, and we'll see how it plays out. And part of that interest might be based on the presence of Trevor Lawrence, who people still perceive as a good player, but maybe not been in the best situations. I am not the best, but you're the best. Look at us go. It's a mutual thing. Appreciate you coming. So running back position. We all know the big news this week, right? I'll get to that here. Sorry, I was trying to. We all know the big story. It's Christian McCaffrey week. Sounds like he's set to return against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You can wonder what the workload will be. I know Dan Graziano wrote about it this week. I wrote about it this week in my Fantasy Notebook column, and I think like one of the things that Graziano is, when McCaffrey is available, Shanahan uses the hell out of him. Would it be logical for them to ramp him up or limit him? Yes. If they limit him, might they limit him to high leverage situations in the red zone where it might be beneficial for them? So, man, look, I'll just say this. I'm playing him. I know in our projections of Football Guys, he's well inside the top 10. I think you're playing him probably almost like you drafted him. Hopefully you've had other players that come up. Maybe you can put him in the flex. I know in some of the leagues I'm in, I have him like as a flex level play because I have that luxury because other players have risen up and are giving me that option. I know I've seen questions about Tyrone Tracy. He might be one. And so there are other players that maybe can carry you, and maybe McCaffrey gets some of those high leverage looks and helps you out a little bit that way. That would be great. Or maybe we just get the whole damn shebang with McCaffrey and it's like game on. We just don't know. We haven't seen enough. It turns out the 49ers are not very forthcoming with information. I did think it was ironic. On Friday, I was reading the article on ESPN about McCaffrey by Nick Wagner, and it brought back memories of reading the exact same article, the exact same time, under the exact same circumstances. He's listed as questionable in the Friday leading up to the Monday night game, talked about having his full workload, said he felt great and was ready to go, and we all know how that went. So we should go in with a little bit of skepticism, right? Like a healthy skepticism, have a fallback plan in place. But if he's going, I'm playing him. There, Christian McCaffrey, boom, in the lineup for me, Bob Harris. Hopefully, for you as well, if you have that need, we'll see. And the good news is it's an early afternoon kickoff, right? We have all kinds of fallback options available to us. Not as many teams. We have teams on bye this week. I should have mentioned probably. Cleveland, Green Bay, Las Vegas, Seattle, all not playing. Some good players not playing. So that's, that could put you right. Another good player that's not playing is Brian Robinson. The Washington Commanders running back has been ruled out. I believe Jonathan Brooks is probably, I don't know. They took him to Germany. He's activated, but I don't know that he's going to play. If he plays, I can't imagine a great workload. They have a bye next week. Seems like they'll bring him back. They just re-signed Chuba Hubbard to a pretty significant contract extension. So there's that. Tyjae Spears back in the mix with Tony Pollard. If you read my in and out column this week, I'm not as keen on Tony Pollard. Don't like that Chargers matchup. Don't like the fact Spears is back. Look, you probably don't have a chance to play. Like the in and out is funny because I'm telling people not to play people. That's more of a DFS thing, right? Like I'm avoiding players with the high upside. It looks like Jamal Williams, Damian Pierce out. No major players there. Wide receivers. The good news is some guys look like they're going to play in the Dallas-Philadelphia game. Devontae Smith had a little scare. The hamstring kept him out early in the week. AJ Brown's been going all week. Started out limited, went to full. Seems like it's truly a knee bruise that or contusion, or is what they say. Jalen Hurts might have a little bit of an ankle issue, depending on who you're listening to at any given moment. Nick Sirianni, widely ridiculed for his faux pas, and they listed if you missed it, Jalen Hurts was listed as limited for rest reasons, or out of practice for rest reasons. And so they're talking about it, and he said, "Oh, an ankle. Oh, is it an ankle, or was it rest? Oh, no, he was resting." Well, who did you think we were talking about? Anyway, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, both off the injury report. CeeDee Lamb off the final injury report for Dallas. He has an AC sprain. He's going to be playing with Cooper Rush. Again, I don't think that's ideal, but I don't know how you get away from playing CeeDee Lamb. I think that's going to be difficult. Nico Collins and Tank Dell are both listed as questionable. That's the Sunday night game. Collins didn't get activated. His window didn't open until yesterday. It seems odd. I mean, I suppose, late night kickoff could change this, but I mean, your fallbacks will be limited. Same with Tank Dell. He was out of the injury report Friday with a back issue. It's a back that's worrisome. So, it's going to be hard to play either of those guys. Drake London, also questionable. I saw some footage of him running routes on Thursday that didn't look great. My friend D'Orlando Ledbetter suggested he looked tight, so we'll find out there. Chris Olave seems unlikely to play. I see a question in here, drop Olave. I'd give it a day or two, but I don't, the outlook is not bright for him, Mark, I don't think. For the rest of this season anyway. This is his fourth concussion. So as in the NFL, I think he's had some prior to that. Cedric Wilson also out in that game. So Deebo Samuel's questionable. I think he will play. Juwan Jennings back in the mix too. He's off the injury report. Brian Thomas Jr. is questionable with the chest injury, but seems like he will play through it. Gabe Davis also questionable. He is fantasy irrelevant, I believe, for the most part. Keon Coleman. Am I back? Let me know if things lit up. That's weird. Looks like it. Let me know if things. There we go. Computers are crazy, people. That's nuts. Sorry about that. Apologies. I don't know what to make of that. Let me sort some things out here. Just the blue screen of death, said Windows. Bill Gates caught me eating meat or something. I don't know. That was cray-cray. Give me 1 second. Let me get everything back up that I need to have back up. All right. Almost there. if you've just tuned in and you're going, what the hell is the matter with this guy? Why doesn't he do a professional show? I usually try to do that. Today is obviously not my day. So we'll get back on track here. I think everything is back where I need it to be. I was going through injuries and all kinds of nonsense like that when this all occurred. So let me get back to that list. Oh my goodness. Oh, we'll get to questions. Were there any other significant injuries here? The wide receivers, I think we had been through Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, Juju Smith-Schuster's out. Darius Slayton's out in the Germany game. Adam Thielen out in that same game as well. Good Lord. Tight ends, Dallas Goedert's back. Tyler Conklin's questionable. Kicker issues, Austin Siebert questionable for the just suddenly they added Zane Gonzalez, so watch out for that. There might be a change. Graham Gano seems like dicey as well. So Jake Moody is good to go. So there we go. Good Lord. Did I just lose all my comments? Let's see what I got. There we go. Now everything's back. That's crazy. All right, let's get some questions and see if we can salvage this disaster. Some of the questions. Andrea has a question. Need one. Tracy versus Carolina. Najee Harris versus Washington. Tank Dell versus Detroit. I don't think I can play Tank Dell because I'm not waiting around to find out if that back is going to be an issue. Backs are dicey. I don't dislike Najee Harris, but it's going to be hard for me. There's going to be a lot of Tyrone Tracy Jr. questions. It's just hard to go get some matchup. The Panthers are the worst run defense in the NFL, also giving up the most fantasy points to running backs. I think 6 running backs have 20-point games against them. Tracy has a pair of 20-point games in his recent past, one against Seattle, one a couple weeks ago. And he's getting all the volume. So that's an easy call for me, Andrea. I would do that. Tootsie Pop would like to know a Wan'Dale Robinson, Sterling Shepard, or Noah Brown. I have a slight lean to Sterling Shepard in this one. He seems to be coming on as a bit of the primary asset there. Primary asset not named K. Dotton and Rashad White. Primary receiving asset on the outside or in the slot. Corey has been back and forth all week between Khalil Shakir versus Colts or DeAndre Hopkins versus the Broncos. Full PPR. I like them both too. I would say Khalil Shakir is the higher floor play. I like him a lot in this matchup. DeAndre Hopkins, I want to say the matchup against Denver is not favorable. Zay Flowers would like me to know that's not true, that you can get something done. I don't know if it requires a tremendous rushing attack to the Baltimore has to do that. But so I went back and I looked a little bit. Right. And it's been so early on, it was great. It was DK Metcalf, single digit points, Mike Evans, single digit points, Garrett Wilson, single digit points. It was everybody single digit points, right? Really good receivers were locked down and mostly with Pat Surtain too locked in shadow coverage. So, but then Surtain was hurt for a couple games and had a concussion. And then, people started getting a little ahead. And then it seems like, I want to say against Baltimore, there wasn't a lot of shadow coverage. So I'm guessing they go back to that this week, and it's going to be tough for Hopkins. So I would like to play Hopkins. I feel like if you got Jamar chased this week and you want a super high upside play, it's probably still Hopkins. And Khalil Shakir is just a high floor guy. That's kind of how I'm sussing that one out. So I hope that helps. Hi, Bruce. Sorry, I better start at the top. Appreciate you coming every Saturday, especially the days when my computer does not die. 2 lineup questions. Standard league. Which one wide receiver would I sit? Collins, limited snap count, and then Zay McConkey. I would probably sit Collins because I don't know that he's going to play. If I got some really solid information that he was, I might play him. But CJ Stroud, it's not been good, right? CJ Stroud has been under pressure. I want to say he's been sacked 13, 14 times in the last 3 games, 8 times by the Jets. And they don't seem to have answers for opposing pass rushers at this point. And so I would be a little bit reluctant to lean on this passing attack until I see some shift. And also, I wouldn't mind giving Collins back. So I think Odunze and McConkey, I think in that Chicago game, and Royal Slade can help me out on this one if he wants, but I think we're going to see, most likely, will Christian Gonzalez shadow on DJ Moore? DJ Moore has not been great, and the chemistry is lacking. I wrote about him in my in and out column. You might be surprised to learn he's not my in this week. So for multiple reasons, not just the anticipation or the possibility of the shadow coverage. And Christian Gonzalez has not been shut down, but he's been pretty damn good, right? So yeah, I'd probably play a Dunze McConkey there. And the other one I'm playing, like I'm in on Hawkinson. I think Kincaid's a great play against the Colts as well. In a standard league, Hawkinson would be my hunch here, but it's just a hunch. Kincaid is the safer play. Yes. And so I know from the radio show, by the way, if you haven't heard me, I'm on the radio. Big deal. I am. No, you can catch me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to midnight. Saturday, that's tonight, 8 to 11 on the Fantasy Channel and the NFL Radio. We take calls there, so if I don't get to your question here, please feel free to call in. I'll be on Sunday as well with Jeff Mans on the pregame show. So yes, I wrote about it in the In and Out column. I'm going to hammer favorable matchups in players with the right opportunity. Tyrone Tracy is a guy that's getting the bulk of the workload in a super favorable, the most favorable matchup possible. So I'm going to go with that. We've seen him leverage those matchups before. I mentioned he has a couple 20-plus point games. The Panthers have given up 6 of those. I'm playing the odds, right? Fantasy football is a game of odds, right? So, like, Kareem Hunt might be perfectly fine. Montgomery also might be perfectly fine. I'm expecting the Lions to lean into the running game, but they also have a very capable passer, Jared Goff. And I know the Houston's defense is tough, right, in general. But they haven't been that tough against opposing passers this last week or so. So like Aaron Rodgers lit them up. And multiple quarterbacks have lit them up. So interesting dynamic there. I'm playing Tyrone Tracy, though, over Hunt. Also, lots being made about tough matchups from McLaurin and Pickens having the Pittsburgh-Washington game. Would you start Brian Thomas Jr. versus Minnesota against either of them if he plays? So for McLaurin going against Joey Porter, I think it's a winnable. Pickens is not the hardest matchup. But it seems like the wide receiver 2s in these games where the wide receiver 1 has a tough go of it or getting some run. So Brian Thomas Jr., I think, is a great play. Again, it's the quarterback situation that confounds me. Do I think Mac Jones is going to have great success against this Brian Flores defense that can cause a lot of trouble for really good quarterbacks? But also I love the matchup. So I would be tempted. I'm probably still playing McLaurin there. I'm probably still playing Pickens and McLaurin. Let me double check, see what the projections say, because I think it's probably fairly close. Hello, projections, my old friend. Pickens 20. Yeah, that's kind of how, 14, 20, and 24. So it's McLaurin, Pickens, and Thomas, confirming my own gut instinct there. So yeah, that's probably the order I'd play him in. Like, I still play good players in tough matchups, but you set your expectations a little differently. And also you have to look at how your team is faring. Look at your opponent's lineup. Are you playing against Jamar Chase? Are you playing against Lamar Jackson? Do you need a swing for the fence kind of play? That might help determine these things as well. Hi, Jim. How you doing? So is this a good trade? Bucky Irving, Demario Douglas, and DeAndre Hopkins for Brian Thomas and Garrett Wilson. I would probably like to be on the... Man, I like Brian Thomas and Garrett Wilson. If you had... you're essentially throwing a player. Like, I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be plenty good. I think Demario Douglas is solid, but a little up and down. I would probably like the Brian Thomas, Garrett Wilson side of this, knowing I had to add a sweetener. And if I'm not playing Bucky Irving every week, I could probably pull that off. What does everyone else think about that? Start 3. Rashad White, Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, Tyjae Spears. White, I'm probably starting both the Broncos. I just don't know what to expect from Tyjae Spears. It's his first game back after a 3-game absence with a hamstring. He's going to be sharing at best. He's had some decent games, right? Or one decent game. In other games, he's just a fly in the ointment. I'm probably going to have to play both those Broncos. Kill a Cam. Damn it. Don't want to do it, but I'm probably going to. It's very disruptive, computer stuff. Appreciate everyone sticking through that. Apologies again. Scrolling down, getting to the rest of the questions because there was a lot of honest opinion about Brees Hall, if you will. I'm a highly competitive 12-person league, and I've lost 2 games. 2. Should have won due to underwhelming performance. Do you feel like he rights the ship? I feel like the ship is righting a little bit. Like, I felt like when Todd Downing took over as a coordinator, 3 games ago, or the play caller, not the coordinator. Nathaniel Hackett's still officially the coordinator, but Todd Downey's calling plays. I thought he did a really good job of getting Brees Hall back on track after some games where he wasn't getting the right usage. And so, like, I like the signs I saw from the offense against Houston. The passing attack, getting on track will be very helpful to Brees Hall. I'm not giving up on Brees Hall. I feel like he rights the ship. I'm down bad with 4 wide receivers hurt and on bye. Which of these waiver wire darlings would you go with? Sterling Shepard, Alec Pierce, Ray McLeod, A.D. Mitchell, 0.5. It would be Shepard, McLeod, Pierce, Mitchell in that order. I'm assuming, the assumption that I'm assuming Drake London's not going to play. Maybe I should not do that. Maybe he's going to be fine. So that would be determinative in that. Go Montgomery over Downs in a PPR flex. If Nico plays, go Nico Neighbors in London. Well, you're going to have to know it's a late night kickoff, country bumpkin. That doesn't help you out. Like, you could go Montgomery. I mean, let's see. Montgomery. Nico plays, go. Are these the same game? I mean, because you would have Montgomery for a fallback. I don't know that I want to play Nico bad enough to play him over Montgomery. In a PPR, I'm going to check my flex rankings because that is an interesting question. I think we're all a little bit down on Montgomery because of the matchup. But are we that down on him? In a full point PPR, I might actually consider that. I might actually go Downs. So Downs, and so if Nico plays, go Nico Neighbors London. I'm not sure I get that because you're going to have hard decisions to make. You've got 2 guys that are questionable that I'm not 100% sure are going to play. You might need more options. Tyjae Spears versus LA, or Ray Davis versus Indianapolis PPR. Andrea, I'm going to probably go Ray Davis in this one just because I like the matchup better. Hi, Madge. I traded for Hawkinson for Pacheco. I'm 6-3. Did I win the trade? Well, that will be determined after the season and what your record is. I don't think it's unreasonable. You probably have developed another tight end. Oh, you have 2 tight ends. Yes, you won the trade. This is an example of a great trade, right? Like, you have a surplus of talent at a position. You have a guy that can play this week that's in the top 5. You're trading a piece that might be great or might not, right? Like, he's just coming back. So, I think this is ideal. And you got Pacheco, who might be a great piece or might not. I think this is a great, this to me is a fantastic trade. Well done. Jennings over MHJ PPR. I think the football guys' projections would prefer you play Marvin Harrison Jr. I probably am more hunchy towards Jennings. I like Jennings a lot this week. He is in my in and out column. He'll be playing the slot. The Tampa Bay defense is laying down against the opposing receivers in general, even more so in the slot. So there you have that. That hunch. Again, let's do the hunch thing, right? I know regulars are going, no, not the hunch thing again. Play your hunch. Don't play my hunch. I'm going to tell you my hunch. And I'm going to tell you why it's a hunch and what leads me to have that hunch. And you're going to play your hunch. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a very good player. He's been totally inconsistent. It's a very tough matchup for him against the New York Football Jets. Doesn't mean I'm not playing great players, even inconsistent great players. So I'll say this, in most cases, I like to split the difference. Say one guy's if you need a home run threat, play that guy. Juwan Jennings would like you to know he's a home run threat. We can go back to week 2 against the Rams, Scampers, Dame. One of the biggest games of the year for a receiver. So what do we think about Kansas City's defense rest of season and this week? Like them this week, like them rest of season. It's a tough defense. Been back and forth all week. Did we do this one already? I think we did this one already. My bad. break my computer and I get all flustered. Thank you, Scampers, and for everyone helping everyone else. PPR and bonus plus 40 yards plays. McBride owner buy next week. Thinking of offering Evan Ingram for one of James Conner, Josh Downs, and Ryan Thomas Jr. Who should I target? I tend to, I wouldn't mind having James Conner. Then you'd be playing 2 Cardinals every week, right? And you have a bye coming up for him. I like Josh Downs an awful lot. I think he's going to be a consistent high-end wide receiver too. Ryan Thomas is a huge big play threat. I think he's been fantastic. Wow. This is interesting. Generally, I'm going to go for the position of most scarcity, which is running back. James Conner still running very hot. I know Trey Benson and Amari DeMarcado's got touchdowns last week, but Conner has been the driving force in this offense. I'd probably do it for Conner, not knowing what I think right now offering Evan Ingram when we have uncertainty about the quarterback situation. I think Evan Ingram's going to be great if this offense is on point, right? Like, he's going to play a high volume role. But like last week's offense, what they have 31 yards in the first half. So if I could get out of that, if I could get myself out of Jaguar business right now, I'm probably not averse to that. On this fire. I think we saw that the same. No on Pollard, Dowdle, or Irving better. I don't know if they're better, right? I mean, it's a super tough matchup, and I'm not eager for it. Pollard is my out this week, but I think I wrote in my weekly in and out column. You can find it at footballguys.com if you just dialed in. It's every Saturday, should be posted now. I think, the way I framed it was like, there's 4 teams on bye, and there's been a lot of injuries and attrition. It's like in most cases, I would probably play Pollard's workload even in a tough matchup over Dowdle and Irving. I would, Rachel. Even though I'm out on him. I think the out is more of a DFS out. I'm not paying for him. I'm not going to be seeking him out. But if he's on my team and I need to play him, hell yeah, I'm playing him. Drop a lobby, I think you could. You might want to give it a little time, Mark. I think I said this, I think I hit this one earlier. But I think, 4th documented concussion at the pro level, so 2nd this year. I don't think he'll be back this year. I like both these guys. I probably like Douglas better than I like McLeod. Maybe that changes if there's no London, but maybe not. Just double checking. 23. They're basically in the same tier. And Douglas is well ahead. I do like Douglas better in a vacuum. If there was no Drake London, I might rethink that. So watch for the inactive announcement. They're close enough that maybe you could rethink that if you wanted to. What did I miss? Did I miss some shenanigans here? Love JB's grandma. Okay. PPR need 2. Hawkinson, Hopkins, Addison. Probably playing the first 2. Not enthusiastic, Mark, but yes, it's him and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. At the moment, they're the top 2 receivers, right? So, if you feel like you want to invest in this offense, I wonder if we're not going to see a lot of tight ends and running backs in this one. So, it was me. I froze. Totally froze. I wonder if they are. I mean, where is he at now? A.T. Perry. I need to find him. I didn't even think of that. Is he on somebody's practice squad? Denver Broncos practice squad? I think is he on the regular roster or the practice squad? I'd have to check. I should probably do that. That's a good thought, right? I'm surprised if he's on the practice squad, they could probably sign him off it. Let's see where he's at. At Our Lads with the ads. Yeah, he's on the practice squad. They could sign him off the practice squad. That's an interesting thought. I don't know why they haven't done that already. Maybe that says something. Right? Hi, Drone. Need 2 wide receivers in a flex PPR. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, McLaurin, D Hop, and Mooney. Need 2 of those. Kupp, probably playing McLaurin. Tyreek is questionable. It's Monday, or not questionable yet, but he missed practice. Maybe we'll find out later today. The injury report will be out later today. Those are my 2. And Mooney's a great option too. And Hopkins also a great option, except I don't like the matchup. And Tyreek, man, the targets have been minimal, right? I'd like to see that offense get back on track. It's good to be back. CPD 13 late today. No worries. I was frozen, so I can think of worse things than being late. Rodgers or Jones this week for me. Daniel Jones, like Rodgers too. Daniel Jones though against the Panthers. Look at Jones' numbers this week. 9 games, 5 outside, 5 useless games, well outside, well down in the quarterback 2 range. 4 games is quarterback 1. It's either great or not. So that's kind of the deciding point. Rodgers is going to be mid-range and maybe with some upside, as we saw last week with the touchdown. So not against that, but I'm trying to leverage the matchup. If you don't have any other Giants pieces, and you know, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, I'm going to probably play Jones. Got a little rushing equity too. Down 98 points. Ouch. Somebody got chased. Drop Ferguson for Hill or Jonnu Smith. Taysom Hill or Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith's been on a roll. It's been really consistently productive. Ferguson, I looked into this because I wanted to see what the deal was with Cooper Rush. Wrote about it in our Polarizing Players article with Gary Davenport and I do. And also in my in and out. He's my out this week. I don't think you can necessarily bench him in a regular league. Just for also a little clarity here, Johnny Smith is my outlier of the week because the Rams, Brock Bowers, 10 catches against them. Tucker Kraft, 2 huge touchdowns, like a 60-plus yard touchdown and another touchdown against them. So I'm a little invested. Taysom Hill, I think this is going to be a big week for him as well. I don't necessarily want to drop Ferguson, but I think the numbers kind of tell you. I'll say Cooper Rush. And again, this is a different offense and they're a different defense. I don't know if they're going to be in the same position, but he targeted the wide receivers 22% of the time, tight end 17% of the time. He threw in the 5-game stretch in 2022. He threw 15 passes as tight end, most of them to Ferguson. Dalton Schultz was there as well. 2 other guys, McKeon and Peyton Hendershot. So, you know, there's a role there. But I think, and the rankings, the Football Guys projections are in on Ferguson. They think he's going to be fine. They think he's tight end 7. It's a tough matchup this week for me. I wouldn't be adverse to playing either of those guys, but they're hunchy, right? Like Taysom Hill is like the ultimate dice roll. You get him in great high leverage situations. He's going to be under center. He's going to be playing wide receiver. He's going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff. So I'm not against either of these things. Nick Walker. Starting Devontae. Don't know if Dell's going to play. Playing Jackson. Oh, I mean, that's, you know, this is the kind of situation where I would say, like, even though it's not been going good, you will need that huge home run threat ability if you're playing those guys. Totally on board with that. I don't know if Jalen McMillan's going to play. He's questionable. It's an early kickoff, so you can work around it if he's not. Otten over Kincaid this week, yes, for me. Otten's been money, man. That's nice in Buffalo or the Buffalo area. PBR need 2. Hawkinson, Addison, Hopkins. Did we do this one already? Hawkinson and Hopkins for me. I think I did this one already. Kincaid or Taysom Hill. Kincaid's the safer play. Taysom Hill's he is the rocket fire emoji guy who might come up big, but it's a little bit of a crapshoot. I think Kincaid's in a good spot against the Colts. Super generous defense. Look at Scampers going with Ray McLeod. I mean, I think that's in response to the one that I looked at too. Like Ray was my number 2, but maybe that changes if there's no Drake London. Warren or Bucky? Jalen Warren or Bucky Irvin against San Francisco and against Washington? Probably going to go Jalen Warren. I think we did this one. And yes, I said I would. Although this is a fair point, right? Like I hope I mentioned that. Maybe I did not. Tyreek Hill is dealing. I have information, people. I don't know if I'm going to beat Scampers. I got to go to the bottom of the chat and see if I'm beating Scampers on this. Tyreek Hill dealing with a wrist injury that is heating up and has forced. Okay, phone. Tyreek more uncertain. Thank you. Tyreek Hill is injury that's heating up and has forced him to his practice time. Head coach Mike McDaniels told local reporters of his body lesson. We'll see. So there's a great deal of uncertainty there, I would say. That's going to make it hard to play him, right? Makes for a very difficult decision. I'm sorry for that, people. Hold on 1 second. While I could deal with this. This has been such a convoluted show. Computers breaking, Tyreek Hill breaking, whatever heating up means, right? Like, what the hell is that? Tom Pelissero, we'd like more specific language, sir. We're asking a lot of these insiders. This was a really fair point the Royal Slade made, Jim. Really fair point. CPD 13. I got Dobbins, Cook, Hall, and Mixon. Also, Nico Collins, Mooney, DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Brown. I need 2 running backs in the flex. What if I told you not to play AJ Brown? What if I told you not to play Joe Mixon? So I'm playing Cook. Yeah. I'm playing Cook, Hall, and Mixon, Brown, and Mooney. That was complicated, man. Cup, Neighbors, McLaurin, Collins, or Thomas Jr. for PPR. Okay, Del Reyes. Cup, Neighbors, McLaurin, Collins, or Thomas for PPR start 3. I'll go ahead and play the first 3. Thank you. Algiers or Jalen Warren for the flex? I feel like I have a blind spot for Tyler Algiers. I feel like I should check on this one. Honestly, I know he has some weeks. So the projections are Jalen Warren is at 31 with like 9 points, fantasy points. Tyler Algier at 33 with 7. I will go with that. And it kind of like I've just confirmed my suspicions. I felt like I wanted to go Warren. Sometimes you get questions, you have blind spots to players, and I think I'm like super guilty of that. They're players I just like. I don't see though. I don't see you, Rico Dowdle. I apologize, sir. You're a good man. Tyler Algier too. Love you both, but they don't have a lot of visibility for me. Lester, I think I know why. Who would you flex in a full PPR? Pollard, Stevenson, or Juwan Jennings? So my love of Jennings is I don't want to let it cloud my judgment, so I'm going to check with the official flex rankings. My rankings are higher, so I'm going to go with my rankings and just see how much that's off of these guys. It would be super hunchy if you played Jennings over either of these guys. I'll just say that. And I don't like the matchup for Pollard, but he's been getting tons of volume, so I like that. I didn't see your first question. Aaron Rodgers or Daniel Jones, not Matt. Not Mac. Yeah, no, I think I answered that. I think I like Daniel Jones. Stuart Baker versus San Francisco or Stafford. Start Baker versus him. Like, I get it. Like I don't know how Baker's doing it, but he's doing it. In tough matchups, in every matchup, he's just playing well. I think Stafford's probably a safe play. I'm probably starting Baker Mayfield. Thank you, A Troubled Mind. I'm not sure what that means. B2L back for another live. Oh, don't sell yourself short. You're not the worst. Like I worked my rankings late into the night last night. Late into the night. Barber Kings, Flex, start 2, Flex 1. London, Shakir, McConkey, Mike Williams, Tolbert, Pearsall. Thanks for your time. Thank you for coming, Barber King 661. I really appreciate you. Shakir, and probably going to go McConkey. And if London plays, it would probably be him. If not him, Tolbert might be a guy I have a blind spot for. Don't like I wonder if Pearsall's not too deep. Like, oy vey, that is super tough. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really want to play Mike Williams in his first game. I don't really want to play Pearsall. I'm trying to find a way not to say Tolbert, and I don't know if I can. Probably playing Tolbert if there's no London. Playing London if there's a London, and like I'm worried about playing in London. I don't know if he's going to make it all the way through or not. So could be a huge week for Mooney this week. I agree with that, probably because of London. So I have both London and Mooney. Who do I start? I would start the healthy one. Like sometimes these things, like, I mean, and we get these a lot. If you're splitting a hair and both guys are active, maybe this decision is probably going to be made for you. I feel like that, but I don't know that for sure. Right. So, so I just tend to default as a general rule to playing the healthier guy, especially when he's been fairly productive. And Darnell Mooney's been that. And there's some significant upside there if he doesn't. If London doesn't play for Mooney. Morning, Andy and Renee Nelson. Assuming Christian McCaffrey plays this week, what should we expect? I think I talked about that at the top. If you didn't, I would switch. Like, I would probably do that switch. Right? Like, I love Dobbins too. And I don't think it's like the most. I think the Titans, we've gotten past the point where we think the Titans are the best run stopping unit in all football because they're just not. I'd be eager to do that as well. I'm guessing this isn't your running back one spot. Like I think Dobbins would be fine to play and give it a week if you want to see what McCaffrey does, but it's a great matchup. I think he'll have a passing role. I would probably be playing McCaffrey. Spears or Rodriguez with B-Rob out and PPR. I'd probably play Rodriguez. PPR and bonus points. I think I did that one. I'm a mess today. I think Taysom Hill is a viable flex. I don't know if I'd do him over those guys, though. Well, maybe over Waddle. Maybe. But if there's no Tyreek Hill, maybe Waddle's more. Just that Miami's offense is not what we expected, right? And I'm just trying to acknowledge that. Marvin Harrison Jr. has a tough matchup. Conky, it's not a great matchup. But yeah, I think it's a reasonable hunch play, but it's totally hunching. It's totally a dice roll. I mean, I think that's what Taysom Hill is and has been. Requisite hunch alert was given. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate that. You've only heard that, what, Scampers, 30,000 times in your life? And apologies for that. On defense this week, KC or the Vikings? I generally pick on quarterbacks. I think you could pick on either of these. Like, I think Bo Nix has been great, right? I don't know if this is going to be this week. If Mac Jones is starting, I'm playing the Vikings. I think we did this one as well. We did that one as well. Week 2, that was it. I think we covered this one, Louise. If you just missed it, I think it's reasonable to start Mooney. I just explained. I will not bore you with the same explanation again. I hope you heard it. 12-team PPR league, flex spot for James Conner, Devontae Smith. I'm probably James Conner there. No, people do care. I mean, I don't because I got knocked out early, but I know my radio co-host, Mike Dempsey, is very excited to still be in there. Needed a lot of defense questions. What's up with that? By the way, I haven't done this for a few minutes. So I'm Bob Harris. If you're just dialing in, you don't know what the hell's going on here. Why is this guy yelling at me about fantasy football? Because that's what I do. You can find me at footballguys.com every Thursday, my fantasy notebook, every Friday, my polarizing players collaboration with Gary Davenport. Today, every Saturday, my in and out column, 2 players at each position. One I like more than the field, one I like less than the field. That's basically it. It's kind of hopefully logic-based hot takes and more about, showing the process, how I make these determinations than telling you who to play or not play, because that's really not what I like to do. And then you can catch me on the radio. Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to midnight. Saturday, that's tonight, 8 to 11 on the Fantasy Channel and NFL. Armando Marsal from the Guru Elite site will be joining me. I think what is our game of the week? Is it Tampa? Is it Arizona Jet? I don't know. Well, we'll have a game of the week with a couple of beat writers. And also Jamie Calandra will be on to talk some DFS late in the show. And every weekday morning, the Football Guys Daily Update, 10 minutes, little quick hit. Just kind of talk about the major stories that you're going to want to have on your radar each day and give you a little bit of analysis on them. 10 minutes. Just get up to speed. I know you're all busy. So anyway, Chargers D, Vikings, Chargers, Vikings D, need to drop one. Probably dropping. They're both very good. Who are they playing this week? They both have great opportunities this week. Your Chargers playing against Will Levis, Vikings maybe playing against Mac Jones. Probably the Vikings this week. Which quarterback to pick up for week 11 and 12? 6-point passing TDs, Wilson, Love, Stroud, Mayer, Gino. We're getting late in the show, and I don't have time to sit here and spend on looking up the records. Probably like them in the order of Love, Gino, Wilson, May, Stroud. I'm not big on Stroud, man. It's just not been good. And I might be over-exaggerating to make my point. I don't know. My expectation for Brooks are minimal. And I don't think Nico's going to play. He may, but I mean, why did they wait? So the reporting on Wednesday, reporting early this week, the reporting last week was that he was all set and he would start practicing. And then the reporting in the last couple of days was he's cleared. He's got all his mobility, his speed. There are no issues. And then they didn't open the practice window till Friday. Is that an okie doke? Or are they just trying to confound us as coaches and teams like to do? That seems like a stretch. So, I have serious questions. We see a lot of guys come back and the window opens and they don't jump right back through it that first week. Jonathan Brooks would like you to know that sometimes takes all 3. And we don't even know if he's activated, but I don't know if he's going to play. I don't know that they take him to Germany without thinking they might play him. So maybe they get his feet wet. They have a bye next week. So my expectations are minimal. I'll just say that. They just re-signed Chuba Hubbard to an big money extension. I know Dave Kluge, we were discussing this behind the scenes of Football Guys, and I know Kluge has hope, he's pretty invested. And I don't think the short term but in the long term, maybe we end up with a Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery-like situation. Dave Canales really likes to lean into his running backs, so this may be what that's about, the extension. My running back room is slacking, was offered a trade. I've got St. Brown. He offered Devontae Adams and Tank Bigsby, but he also has Dobbins. What do you think? Dobbins. I'd rather have Dobbins all day long. I would try to work that. Pick 2, Eckler, Swift, or Mixon. Swift and Mixon. Who for my wide receiver 2 and flex? DJ Moore, ETN, wide receiver Josh Down. The last guys are on bye. All right, well, let's look at this. Who for my wide receiver 2 and a flex? Josh Downs and probably Darnell Mooney. Shenanigans are great, though. Shanahanigans. We'll see if we get some of those. I would drop the guy in a bye and hope I could pick him back up. Or Wandale. You got plenty of receivers. You're never playing Myers. I would do Myers while he's on the bye and hope I can pick him up and nobody pays attention. Who is McCaffrey's handcuff going forward? It's still Mason to me. He seems healthy. He's off the injury report. Dennis Allen out there just whacking guys, says Kendre Miller. Is he still injured? I don't know that. It's entirely possible. But he saw. Did he get signed to to the Saints practice squad? Because I saw him on Denver's, so I don't know. Start 2. Hall, Eckler, Irving. Hall and probably Eckler in that one. Who to play? Plug and play. Theo, Taysom Hill, or Will Dissly. Fire the. No, I'm not going to tell you that. Taysom Hill in this one. Yeah, I'm going to go do Danny. I have neighbors. Thanks. Okay, cool. Oh, it's a nice combo. Which defense? Defenses, man. Defenses. Defenses are like, as a general rule of thumb, here's what I'm going to be telling you. You're picking on the quarterback. So it's not going to be the Broncos. It's going to be the Chargers. Might be the Bears, but it's going to be the Chargers. Oh, I'm playing Jaden Daniels every week. And so here's how it goes. I know it's a tough matchup, but I tend to Jeff Mance talks about this a lot on Sirius and my pregame co-host. And I think he's right. You build a depth chart and you play it, and you play your best player every week. I think having this decision every week, you're going to always want to be like tinkering and playing the matchups. And there are going to be weeks where you end up wrong by sticking with the same course. Like I'll tell you, I have a league where I have Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels. It's Lamar Jackson every week. I'm not going to vary. I don't care what the matchup is. I don't care about anything. I'm playing until I can't play Lamar Jackson. I'm playing Lamar Jackson. If I had Jaden Daniels and Kyler Murray, I would take that same approach. Otten overall is true. It's not a false assessment. Scampers agrees with Bob Harris. Bigsby or Mike Williams this week? Bigsby, please. Tyreek, MH. I think those are good guys to have. Well, Kupp not so much, but I mean, Tyreek Hill and Harrison. I'm not sure. Do you want to pick one? Yes. In case you missed it, Tyreek Hill heating up the injury. Not sure he's going to play. Mike Daniels had comments. I think we did a good job on the breaking news today, Scampers. Johnson, JR, or Tyreek? I can't tell. Hunter Henry, Johnny Smith, Taysom Hill this week. I want to say Hunter Henry rest of season. Johnny Smith's been playing well, but I don't know if I trust it. And Taysom Hill, again, is a weekly dice roll. He ended up, though, as tight end 12 last year. I don't know if this offense is going to support enough scoring. It's been pretty miserable. It'd probably be Hill this week. Again, I like Johnny Smith. That's a tough one, Eric. I mean, this is your hunch. I'm going to go with Hill this week, though, for sure. And I'd probably go Hunter Henry over the course of the rest of the season. Taysom Hill. That's horrible. I hate that. Sorry, killer. TJ Hawkinson was in Sister Christian, was he? Sorry, Night Range. I see where it's going. There you go. That's pretty funny. That is a good one. 12 team PPR. Hawkinson or Sam Laporta. I'm playing Hawkinson this week. Who's better to hold, Madison or Mostert? Right now, I think it's Madison. He's the lead back and allows the offense, but Mostert is a little hit or miss, and they have multiple options there. Tyrone Tracy or Downs flex standard team standard. Standard is Tyrone Tracy for me. Kincaid's probably the safe play here, Eddie. I like Hawkinson a lot this week, but I think Kincaid's going to get hammered with targets. All right, I'm almost out of time. Let me see if I can get through a few more of these. Again, apologies for the freezing and computer stuff. Appreciate y'all sticking with me and coming here every week. It's fantastic time that I spend. This is more helpful for me than it is for you. I'm sure you all know that, but just in case, I want to acknowledge that it's really helpful for me to go through and think my processes through and helps me stay on point. Wide receiver, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, Tyreek, Puka, Debo, Tracy. Puka, Debo, Tracy. Assuming Debo plays. He's questionable. I think he will. The Tyreek thing is getting out of hand. It's a Monday night game. I don't know if you want to take the chance on that. My flex, Juwan Jennings, Tank Bigsby, or ETN, half point PPR, starting CMC and Debo. Thank you. It would probably be Bigsby over ETN for me. You can flip that coin yourself if you want. Exactly my point. Who do I start at quarterback? Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, or Justin Herbert? I think Kirk Cousins is probably a decent play. Like, I like Daniel Jones this week. Don't get me wrong. But Cousins is probably the smarter play. I'm probably playing Mahomes still, but not enthusiastically. It was a great week last week, and he was in my in and out column. This week he's my out, but like I'm trying to be edgy there, so I would play him over Stafford. Guillotine. Probably maybe Leggett. Ridley's probably the right answer, Rob. I would think about Leggett. It's so close. I'm going to look. It's Leggett. I would like to answer a Scott Fishbowl question, but I disqualify myself because I suck at Scott Fish. Thank you. Thank you. Thoughts on Noah Brown, the wide receiver twos tend to do good in tough matchups. Terry McLaurin going against Joey Porter. That might be a hunchy play. And the hunch must be spoken. It's hard decisions. Take Dell expected to play. Breaking news. That's good news. Is that an Aaron Wilson thing? I haven't heard. Anyway, all right. I've gone overtime, but I missed a minute, so I'm going to go a little bit late, and I'll get apologies for freezing up. I have good wide receivers: Tyreek, Kupp, McLaurin, Mooney, D-Hop, Jason. Who would you trade for another running back too? So this is where the part where I tell you I don't know, because I don't know what the other teams in your league have. This is on you, and here's the process. You go out and you go to the page where everyone's roster is, and you find a team with a surplus. Look for surpluses at running back, set those teams aside, then go back to them and find out where they have weakness at wide receiver and narrow it down that way and make some offers to the ones that have the most weaknesses and kind of do it in a descending order or ascending order to the least weak, but that's basically showing how I would do it. It is tough out there, man. I'm playing Kyler over Cousins. I'm playing Shepard over Westbrook Akini. I'm playing Shakir over Cooper. Worthy, Pearsall, Ray Davis, Roschon Johnson. Worthy, slightly over Pearsall. I'm not enthusiastic. I want to see some Pearsall before I get too excited about it. And it would probably be Roschon over Ray Davis. Pick 2, Wandale, Dowdle, Coker. I'm going to make the Coker heads mad. Nico, worried about Nico, and he is playing late. That's the concern, right? Wandale for sure. I'd probably play Dowdle over Coker. That's just me. Jets against Cardinals, Texans against Lions. The Lions are super efficient. They don't have a lot of mistakes. They don't give you room for making big plays, I don't think. So I'm probably going to go with the Jets defense. I'm probably still playing McBride over Taysom Hill, but if you're Taysom Hill is more of a swing for the fence play. Jennings or Taysom Hill in the flex. I like Jennings a lot this week. I would probably play him. But that's my hunch. He's a me hunch guy. Playing Bigsby over Roschon Johnson. The odds of Roschon being the lead back are minimal. The odds of Bigsby being the lead back are great. Heizar, eh? Japan. Good Lord. It is a relatively quiet morning, but we have broken the news that needed to be broken. All right, everybody. I think I've done all the damage I can do here. I've got to get rolling and get on to the next thing. Let's see if there's anything major that I can get to before I can get out of here. That's a pretty big price. If I could afford to, I would. Like, this is the time of year where you start focusing on your high end and a little less on your depth. I don't consider Puka or Montgomery depth players, but if you have more players at those positions and you're consolidating, focusing your talent at the top, I'm not against it. Thank you very much, Jim. I appreciate y'all. Hopefully next week my computer doesn't trade. Might do that one. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. See if I can squeeze in one more here before I go. Like, when I see this question, it's just a wall of, oh, here we go. Top 3 guitarists. Oh, start with twin real player. Start which real player? Full point PPR. Need one for flex. Coker, McMillan, Mike Williams, or ETN. Probably ETN. Then Coker. McMillan's questionable, and I don't know what to expect. Mike Williams can catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, like, top 3 guitarists, so you're asking an impossible question. Guthrie Jovan's probably on the list, though. I was just listening to him last night. I have to give that more thought. That's not a spur of the moment question. Thank you, Tootsie Pop. Appreciate you all. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. I will try to do better next week. I will also try not to freeze up next week. I will also be here next week, 11 a.m. Eastern time, as I am every Saturday at this time. Mostly not freezing. Also, Tuesday on the hot seat, 7 p.m. Eastern time every week. I'll have a guest. We'll talk waiver wires. We'll answer questions. We'll laugh. We'll cry. We'll make winning decisions. Damn it. Also, on the radio, Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 until midnight. Every of those nights, we take tons of calls Monday, tons of calls Wednesday, tons of calls Thursday, tons of calls Friday. Also tonight, we'll take some calls then too. Sirius XM NFL and Fantasy Sports Radio, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. It's me and Mike Dempsey on all those shows. Tomorrow, me and Jeff Mans for the pregame show. The Colts have elevated Laquan Treadwell to the active roster. That's exciting. And also every week, the daily update podcast, it's available every morning to your podcast platform of choice, available on the Football Guys website. 10 minutes of quick hitting NFL news with a little fantasy analysis just to get your day started, let you know what you need to be looking for. It's fantastic. Look at like I'm like a super narcissistic dude keeping up the great praise of me. Thank you, Rachel. And there you have it, people. I'm leaving now. I've had enough. Not really. I could do this all day, but I can't. Got other stuff to do. Appreciate you. See you next week.